The year was 2014, and a self-inflicted suspension from driving for a 12-month period due to a transgression involving inebriated operation of a motor vehicle had rendered me reliant on ride-sharing applications. Picture this. One particular Friday evening, after a nocturnal escapade with friends at a local night spot, the specter of intoxication loomed large. With the designated driver unavailable and the prospect of a frigid walk home unpalatable, I requisitioned an Uber ride. The driver assigned to me, a fellow named Alex, emanated an unsettling aura from his profile picture. His visage, etched with the passage of time, was devoid of a smile, and a salt and pepper goatee lurked beneath a black beanie. He was close, just 2 miles away, and he drove a seemingly innocuous Chevrolet Malibu. Any reservations I might have harbored were outweighed by the allure of immediate transportation. As I perched on a bench outside the establishment, a silver Chevy Malibu, a relic from a bygone era, materialized. Its luster dulled by the ravages of time, and the driver, devoid of social graces, offered neither a greeting nor a wave. His silence was as unnerving as the vacant stare he fixed on the curb. The disharmony intensified as we embarked on our journey. The route deviated from the familiar path leading to my residence. When I voiced my concern, he simply executed a left turn at the subsequent intersection, steering us away from the well-trodden avenues and into the labyrinthine embrace of deserted residential streets. The absence of any navigation application on his dashboard fueled my trepidation. I was left in a maelstrom of uncertainty, unsure of whether he anticipated me to guide him. In a desperate attempt to rectify the situation, I mirrored his actions, inputting my address into my own phone, yearning for the dulcet tones of the GPS to extricate us from this predicament. But he disregarded the explicit instructions delivered by the disembodied voice, continuing his wayward course. Then a surge of terror coursed through me as I noticed the unmistakable silhouette of a handgun protruding from the crevice of the glove compartment, positioned beside him. The gravity of the situation demanded immediate action. My mind raced, formulating an escape strategy. At the next crimson traffic signal, I tentatively tested the door handle, only to be met with an infuriating resistance. The child lock, engaged with malicious intent, shattered any illusions of a swift escape. In summary, the year 2014, a self-imposed driving suspension and a reliance on ride-sharing apps led to an unnerving encounter. A ride home turned into a suspenseful journey through unfamiliar streets, with a silent driver and the chilling sight of a handgun. The child lock on the door shattered any hopes of a swift escape, leaving me trapped in a terrifying situation. Panic seized me as the distance between us and my residence expanded exponentially. Cast adrift miles away from the familiar contours of my neighborhood, the possibility of immediate intervention by law enforcement seemed increasingly remote. The potential repercussions of this predicament loomed large in my mind. My only recourse, as I saw it, was a daring gambit to surreptitiously disengage the child lock mechanism positioned near his seat. To achieve this, I had to inch towards the opposite side of the back seat without alerting him. This audacious maneuver set the stage for an odyssey of excruciating tension. Through the rearview mirror, I stole furtive glances, gauging his posture, ensuring he remained oblivious to my clandestine movements. With a dexterity born of desperation, I managed to slide behind him, the success of my ploy hanging by the thinnest of threads. The ensuing moments were a maelstrom of sheer terror. The next red light was my only chance for escape. The presence of a vehicle at the opposing intersection offered a glimmer of hope. With adrenaline coursing through my veins, I lunged towards the illuminated child lock button. The suddenness of my movement startled him. He lunged forward, his hand darting towards the firearm. But fortune favored the bold. The door yielded to my desperate touch, and I tumbled out onto the unforgiving asphalt. In a burst of flight, I sprinted towards a nearby Cadillac Escalade, pounding on its windows, my pleas for assistance echoing through the deserted night. The vehicle sped away, leaving me stranded at the curb. Their indifference, however, was a minor inconvenience compared to the immediate peril I had narrowly evaded. The perpetrator had dissolved into the inky blackness, leaving me shaken but unharmed. Seeking refuge, I stumbled into a beacon of solace, a 24-hour grocery store. From the sanctuary of the store, I contacted a taxi company, vowing never to repeat this harrowing experience. The fluorescent lights were a stark contrast to the darkness that had nearly swallowed me whole. This was a very sobering experience because I don't remember being drunk at all in that store or during the taxi ride home. I reported the driver to Uber, who said they would escalate the situation to the authorities. It wasn't until a whole week later that an officer finally showed up at my front door for some questioning, and that was the end of that. I have no idea what became of that guy, but I've never used an Uber since.